Welcome back to another episode of the Legit Day Job Podcast. This is our Legit Day Job. I am Cody.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Kay.
And this is what we do every day for a living.
We have that backwards. This is now when I'm supposed to say this is our legit day job.
And then
You say that at the end.
yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, you said that is
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Legit Day Job Podcast.
What are we redoing it?
No.
Yes.
So this, we're on a bit of a time crunch this episode. But anyway, we've just gone through day 5 of the Great Toho-thon.
Uh-huh.
And the great Toho gods have graced us with the resurrection of the king of the monsters himself, Godzilla. For today, we watched King Kong versus Godzilla, as well as King Kong versus Godzilla.
2 different versions there. A Japanese original version, which was apparently
watched-
very hard to get a hold of, and
Yes.
and then the American remake, similar to the
Re-edit.
difference between Gojira and Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
This was the thing of beauty, honestly. Both of these were.
So yeah, well, let's start off with the original uncut Japanese version, the 1962 version. Really quick, I believe I mentioned this at the end of the last episode, but I'll go ahead and mention it again. We did skip one movie temporarily. Mothra technically should have come before, I believe, even the movies of last episode.
Yeah.
But we're getting to that, so just hang tight. It's coming real soon.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so King Kong versus Godzilla, after a 7-year hiatus, he finally came back.
Godzilla finally came back.
Godzilla finally came
Yes.
back. King Kong had about a 30-year hiatus, and he grew about 200 feet.
Yep. So he could equal Godzilla.
Yeah, so he could throw rocks at Godzilla.
Mm.
What did you guys think of the Japanese version of King Kong versus Godzilla?
Well, should we talk about the plot a little bit before we get into that?
Forgot
or-
about that. Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. Sorry, we were trying to organize ourselves earlier. We did
Yes.
we did a bad job, obviously.
The plot is pretty straightforward, to be honest. A television news network.
I don't even think the news.
No,
They're
no,
just
no, no.
television.
Yeah. A television network.
Something akin to like Bill Nye, like a science network.
Yeah,
that,
like
you know-
this.
The pharmaceutical.
Yeah, it was a pharmaceutical
It was a
company,
pharmaceutical
It was
company.
weird.
The guy in charge, I forget. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't even know
He
his
was
name.
the boss.
He was annoying. That's my only point on
It
him.
was amazing. Basically, he was just kind of ranting at everyone that they weren't getting enough ratings. So he was like, "Go get me new ratings."
Yeah, and then
And,
they heard about King Kong, and so they were or like a giant monster god that these native people on this
Yeah,
island
so
in the middle of
Some old guy
nowhere.
came in and with a story saying that like, yeah, I found these cherries on this island.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was part of the pharmaceutical thing. Like,
yeah,
these cherries,
that's
these
how-
cherries are like miracle cherries. It's basically like a marijuana cherry where it's
Yeah.
like, hey,
They put you to sleep.
it cures things. Yeah, and then we're gonna turn it into a drug, and then the guy who found him was like, yeah. Oh yeah.
By
I
the
also
way, there's
found-
also a monster there.
Yeah. And so the guy was like, oh,
The guy
you
like
two,
like
like 2 of his like
he like shat
reporters.
golden bricks.
Yeah, he was like, hey, you two, go
Go get me a
find
story.
monster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, didn't he say like go find me? Or maybe this is the English dub late on the second one, but like he's like go find me a monster even if there isn't one. I was
That
like,
was the English version.
Oh okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because I was laughing because I'm like, what? We just bring back an ugly native and they're like, it's a monster.
So yeah, he sends his reporters to go get a story about the monster. Spoiler: it's King Kong.
Mhm.
Well, at the same time,
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Godzilla returns and causes a ruckus.
yeah,
Which-
some Americans in a submarine are like going through the Arctic and they see something glowing in a. This was the most stupid part. They see something glowing in like an iceberg. They're like, huh, that looks like nuclear radiation. Let's go check it out. So then they check it out, but they submerge. I don't know if the general population knows exactly how icebergs work, but like 90% of those bitches are underwater and they just get bigger.
90%. You're saying that there's 10% that exist above the water.
Yeah, 10% is what you see above the water. 90% of the iceberg exists below the water. So them going
I thought it just cut off at like the water surface.
no.
No?
No.
No.
There's
So them
more hidden
so them
underneath.
so them
They're
going
not floating
underwater.
ice cubes.
No, so them going under no. So them going
Then what the
underwater.
Titanic hits?
It hit no, it also it got hit underneath the water. Go watch the James Cameron movie again. It shows you everything. So them going underwater makes no sense, but they run into an iceberg. Who'da thunk it, right? And then they all get killed because it like cracks open the iceberg and wakes up Godzilla. and then he just kind of goes on a rampage and like just destroys the army that comes to greet him, like tons of tanks.
Yep.
Show up and then he kind of just breathes fire once, and they're all like, "Nope, GG," and dip.
Yep.
And so they're like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" Cut back to the two doofuses on the island. They run into King Kong and they give the natives like smokes and a radio and stuff, and they're partying, and then they like and then King Kong shows up. They're like, "Damn!" And so they like capture King Kong.
You missed the octopus part.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's an octopus. Yeah,
Yeah.
a giant octopus shows up, and King Kong
little
beats
monster
it up.
brawl with,
Yeah.
with John Octopus and King Kong.
King Kong
I'm going to
beats-
speed up
beats
the
it
plot
yeah.
recap just a little bit.
Yeah,
We're almost 10 minutes
Anyway,
in
the
already.
point is basically they were like, okay, let's get this monster back to Japan.
Yeah,
so that
for views.
yeah, and then also it's like, oh wait, shit, Godzilla's
We
coming
can
to
get
Japan.
even more views
Yeah, now
if
we
we
can-
make them fight.
Yeah, now we can make
It's a
we
wrestling
can make
match.
Godzilla
Yeah.
and we can make Godzilla and King Kong fight. But
Which
also,
they do.
if we're lucky, it might kill them both. 'Cause, like,
But that was the government's point
oh
of view.
yeah, because they were like,
the
we don't wanna
news
do
the
two of these.
or not the news, sorry. The TV network guys, they didn't
Yeah.
care. They just wanted the views.
Yeah, and the pharmaceutical boss was like, King Kong's gonna die?
Yeah.
No, like King Kong is like his little baby.
Sponsor.
It was a sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
sponsor. What a
He
Uh,
sponsored King Kong.
So yeah, but that's the plot thread to get them to fight. And
Yeah,
they
and
have
then
a
basically
big
they just
monster
fight.
brawl
Yeah.
and the end.
yeah.
That's the generalized.
It made
plot
about as
recap.
much sense as Batman v Superman.
I'd say it made a lot more sense than Batman v
It's just-
Superman.
No, but the point is like, oh, we just want them to fight, so let's just come up with bullshit reasons for them to fight, right?
I mean,
So it was kind of the
it
same.
made a
thing.
lot more sense than anything in Batman v Superman, but that's beside the point.
Yeah,
So that's a generalized plot recap.
but it was a.
What did you
crazy
guys think of the film? Now that the general plot recap's out of the way.
There was a scene where was that King Kong, kind of related to like the other film, captured the girl and then climbed a mini Empire State Building.
Yeah.
Were you awake for that?
I might not have been awake.
Oh
I
my
did
God.
fall asleep for like 5 minutes of both.
This is going to become
films.
a recurring theme, apparently.
I'm sorry. Honestly, I want to stay awake for these, and I struggle to do so. I'm not a morning person, and we always start this at like, because
we got to.
at like buttfuck AM. Okay,
Because we got to, because it's our legit day job.
I know.
Anyway, yeah, I guess I should have mentioned this doesn't really have any connections to the original King Kong. It's just a new mythos for King Kong.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because of that, they kind of took inspiration,
oh, they totally took inspiration.
Well,
from
no,
it.
sorry, not inspiration. They drew parallels to the original. I wouldn't, not inspiration necessarily, but obvious, like,
No, but it was heavily inspired by it. Like Pharaoh, like literally,
it was
they
more
just
like throwbacks.
They pretty much just replaced the name of the island from Skull to Pharaoh.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
But that was it. I mean, everything else, like the natives worshiping it and being afraid and stuff, and a giant normal monster.
in a sense, yeah.
But then King Kong comes in and fights it. It's just this time it was an octopus, or an octopus,
Yeah, an
not
octopus.
not a
T-Rex.
dinosaur. Yeah.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Anyway, you were saying?
Um,
Oh yeah, he kidnaps the girl.
Kidnaps the girl and climbs the miniature Empire State Building. And then
Yeah, they're still in
they-
Japan, so there is no Empire State
Yeah.
Building. So they,
Yeah,
they
it's
just
not
climbed a
a
like
bank or something.
yeah,
right?
like oh no, I think it was
I don't
the
know what it was.
I think it was the Capitol building. We've seen it in some of the other films.
I don't.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because none of these are. It's not a shared universe. So like
Yeah.
Tokyo gets destroyed for the first time every time.
Yeah.
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 Although you did say this one was a sequel to
Yeah,
Godzilla Raids Again.
This film is a sequel to Godzilla Raids Again, which is a sequel to. So this is a trilogy,
Gojira. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Gojira.
Also-
which explains
Godzilla
why
Raids
he was in an
Again.
iceberg.
Yeah, Godzilla Raids Again, and then Godzilla
King
or
Kong
King Kong
versus
versus Godzilla. Yeah.
Which
Two-
which also explains why everyone knows Godzilla. Because
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
it's like okay,
In
that already
continuity,
happened.
yeah.
So
anyway, yeah. So
yeah, so we've
Thoughts?
seen that building get destroyed many times. I liked it. I did. I honestly did. Me sleeping had nothing to do with it, but I genuinely liked it. Because I mean, I think for once it kind of like played off of the, these are dudes in rubber suits. We all know it. We're just gonna have a good time with it,
Oh yeah, that fight scene was.
Oh yeah,
well,
was great.
the fight scene is it's not.
it's the highlight of the series so far. Everything
Oh,
we've
oh, yeah.
watched,
All the fight
nothing
scenes.
nothing
yeah.
we've seen compares to how goddamn good
Well,
that
that's
fight scene was.
Yeah.
well, that's because to be fair, this is
I say
the
that
first true like versus film.
Yeah, I also say that very sarcastically. Like, Obviously my
they get
my porno
trust me,
overdub
they,
of Godzilla Raids Again
they
was
get-
something golden.
Oh
but,
yeah.
they
but,
get much campier than this.
I'm sure they
Trust
do.
me on that.
I am sure they. Chuck Norris comes in and fights Godzilla. But
but-
yeah, no, like I trust it. I just have never seen anything thus far.
They
that
don't
was
take it
this good.
seriously.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, they don't take it seriously. They
It's-
know it's a comedy,
Yeah.
and they play it up everywhere they can.
Yeah.
Even the acting was like over the top sometimes. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, they know they're in a comedy.
Oh, and the whole film is funny, like
Oh, hell
unironically
yeah.
funny. Even the shot composition and the camera movement,
Yeah, no,
It's
all,
shot
it's
like
all
a comedy.
it's all perfect.
which is amazing.
Which I think is funny because, like, for the first time, that's part of the thing that they translated to the American one, and they translated it pretty much properly. Like
What?
with the other two, Gojira was serious. Godzilla tried to take itself seriously, but we just laughed at it because it was laughable how they tried to cut it up. And then, Godzilla Raids Again was supposed to be serious, even if it was sort of, stupid or whatever. We'd laugh a little bit at it. But then Gigantus the Fire Monster, when they
Forgot
overdub
about that
everything,
one.
it just totally ruined the serious tone of that film and made it
Yeah.
a comedy or like a satire or something, But but this is the first one where like it started as a comedy, and when they translated it, it did end up being a comedy. Still just a little bit of a difference, but only because they wanted to cut out some Japanese footage. Otherwise, it was really wacky Japanese, or it was just still funny, but a little more straightforward American.
I have a differing perspective on that, but we'll get to that when we get to.
Did you take
King
it as
Kong versus
Did you take it
Godzilla.
as a serious romantic drama?
Oh no.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
explain my differing perspective.
Godzilla and King Kong are like a
But-
old married couple trying to rekindle their spark. They're all spark.
By throwing
Shout out
rocks.
Michael Bay.
Throwing rocks and kicking.
those are metaphors for arguing as a married couple.
And destroying.
Throwing shade and when Godzilla's like whipping King Kong with his tail, it's like okay, that's supposed to be some like BDSM. They're trying new things, basically.
And then King Kong has a lot of thinking.
Yeah, he's got a lot of he's the one with a lot of problems, and he's got to consider what he's getting out of this
He
relationship.
even walked away from a battle too.
Yeah, he
scratched
walked
his
away
head and-
from their first encounter there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, oh
He had to
well,
think about it.
GG, just walks off. It was great. I love it. No, I thought it was funny. I got a lot of good points on both of these. I only have like a total of like 6 negative points out of like, I don't know, 15 or so that I've written. So
Very good, very good.
yeah, I liked these.
Probably the most immediate thing, maybe not to you guys necessarily. Maybe, I don't know. The introduction of just an absolute epic soundtrack.
I did.
This
I
was
liked the soundtrack. of this one.
quite a banger.
Yes, it did.
And this is the debut of Godzilla's iconic theme. It had been tinkered with over the last couple films, but this is when they really nail it. And this is the theme that will be sticking around for almost every film.
But the original from '54 is not the one that's going to be.
That gets, they like
They like do they like sample it,
they sample it and remix it. Well, not remix it. They
remix it?
they make variations of it.
Mhm.
But this is like when
What-
people
what-
think of the Godzilla theme, this
think
is
of this.
typically the theme because
That's
it's
incredible.
yeah.
Ishiro Honda did it again. I'm sorry. Shiro Honda,
Well,
but
that's
we'll get to
different.
that.
That's different. That's a different guy, different film. We're talking about the
Yes.
Japanese version,
Yeah, okay.
directed by Ishiro Honda.
We'll talk about Inoshiro Honda in a minute.
Yeah.
One of the funny things I thought, I think this is just because of the translation thing, but on the title card when it's got it written in Japanese, King Kong vs. Godzilla, but then like down below it's in like English writing, but like a direct translation of like how it's pronounced, and it's Kingu Kongu
Oh yeah.
Tai Gojira or Kai Gojira. I think it's Tai Gojira. It's literally just King Kong with U's at the end.
Yes.
Which I thought was
Yeah.
funny as hell. So I'd be Shanu Nicolasu. And that's my
Don't know if
Japanese
that's
translation.
completely accurate, but we'll go with it. We'll go
I
with it.
mean, King Kong, unless Kingu happens to just be king in Japanese and Kongu is just, they thought it'd be funny and they're like, well,
That's it.
Just do
They
it.
just thought it'd be funny.
You gotta add that jungle vibe to it, Kingu Kongu.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
Something I noticed. I mean, I'm sure this wasn't the case just because, it was drawing a lot of parallels from the original King Kong. This is how I interpreted it, though, which is that I interpreted this as taking a lot of parallels from Varan in the King Kong subplot, because that was basically the same setup as Varan.
It was.
Just this one was not
Although
a boring snooze fest.
You could make the argument
you.
that yeah, bless you, Kay. Bless you.
Tight.
She's feeling a little under the weather. If you want to send some get well soon wishes, hit
us up on our Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon. Hit that unsubscribe button. Make sure to hit those dislikes.
Give us a donation in our super chat on Twitch.
We don't have it, Cody. All right, we don't have a Cody anymore. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I was saying.
Hold on. Yeah, you were.
I was saying that I took away that the King Kong subplot was clearly to me directly influenced on Varan.
I was gonna say Varan. You can make an argument that Varan ripped it off from King Kong because
you could make that argument,
first, but
yeah.
But I mean, either way, it was because they were both Ishiro Honda.
You
could assume that.
Let me get briefly into the specifics then. What I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about how.
Which one came out first?
Varan.
Yeah.
Are you referring Varan versus this? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Varan
was 58. Yeah. Okay.
I'm specifically referring to how reporters go to an island and find
a giant monster.
No, first they find a tribe of weirdos who do a ritual.
Yeah, that's right.
Who praise their god,
which is a giant
monster. Which, by the way, is held back by a wooden fence. At least in this one, they got the height of the fence correct.
But it was still tree logs, and he could just knock that shit over.
Yeah, it was still tree logs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took that as just direct influence from Varan, except done right.
Yes.
Speaking of done right from Varan, this one has no Varan bullshit to it, because basically mere seconds after Godzilla's revealed, it just cuts to him just on the mainland, and like the tanks just roll out instantaneously. There's no diddling around in the ocean for an hour.
You're talking about
like the other one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just kind of it's like, oh no, Godzilla's coming back, and then like immediately,
and he's back.
Immediately he just shows up on land, and then they're like, oh shit,
it just gets the ball rolling.
To it. Yeah,
it's pretty well paced actually.
I did like that. The pacing of this one, the writing,
it all flowed really naturally.
Yeah. And you know what? I really liked. This is one of my points here. Well, first of all, it's in color.
Yes.
Second of all, I really liked how well they handled the dual monster thing, because obviously we've seen that before in Godzilla Raids Again, aka Gigantus the Fire Monster, where like
that one really was more of a test.
But it's like they do
this.
But it was like they did try it where they had two monsters.
Yeah.
Their problem was they introduced them at the same time, gave a real quick BS backstory for the second one, didn't really go into detail.
Things.
And then just killed it off halfway through the movie. So like but this one obviously they introduce them at separate times, give enough time for each one.
Yeah, they set up both of them.
Yeah, they converge well. So it's really nice. I like how they did that. It was really well done. And the fight scenes between the two of them, unlike the albeit comedic one of Godzilla Raids Again, I liked how like lengthy these fights were.
Oh yeah.
And how flashy they were. Like there was a lot of fire breathing in this one, and the
digital effect. I mean,
like
I
a
say
ton
digital
of throwing stuff, because like it's apes, or I think he's an ape. Yeah. So
King
like
Kong?
Yeah. He's a giant
You
ape.
mean Godzilla?
Well, it's either an ape or a gorilla. I don't remember.
Godzilla's the gorilla. King Kong's the ape.
I hate you. So these two giant ass kimono dragons fight each other.
King Kong's not a kimono dragon. He's a bearded dragon.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
With a extensive brain.
Yes. Well, that wasn't in the original. You're confusing the timelines here.
He's
using the timelines. That was exclusive to the
in this one,
the separate film.
Oh my bad.
In this one, it's just King Kong.
Yeah, in this one, King Kong is
King Kong.
No, I was gonna say King Kong is the thinking one, as Cody so brilliantly pointed out.
No, that's the American version.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, that was the American version. You're again, we're mixing up the timelines here.
Wait.
They never mentioned brain size or anything like that in the original. That was all brand new stuff for the.
Oh no,
US
you
version.
still said that King Kong was the thinking one.
When we got to the U.S. version,
No,
I definitely did not because
you
it
totally.
definitely did not.
Oh well. Anyways,
It doesn't matter.
point is, yeah, no, I liked the fights. They threw stuff at each other.
Yeah.
They were funny as hell. There was a lot of fire breathing. A lot of like, I don't even know if they were trying for this, but like the real comedic like movements of these guys, like when Godzilla would get a win, he'd like start flapping his arms like he was a fucking chicken. Godzilla would like, or I'm sorry, King Kong would
Beat his chest. Like
yeah, but he'd do it in like a weird way. Like his arms were like as far out as they could be.
Well, yeah,
with like
that's just
his
suit.
his fingertips hitting the nipples. Like
that
it
was
was
just
the
'cause-
stupidest thing, but it was so damn funny. Oh, and their masks are great because it's like it's like a Halloween, spirit storm mask, like just a rubber mouth. Like, you could tell it's always in like that, kind of half growl like look. Like he's looking around and his eyes are solid and he's got his mouth open. He's like, the whole time. Like it's phenomenal.
and yet like also phenomenal, like non-ironically too, because the special effects are genuinely
Oh no,
amazing.
the special effects are great. The suits are shit, but the special effects are great.
I mean, they worked for what they needed to do. Like I do not think this film
It
would have.
totally looked like rubber suits.
No. I mean, I don't think this would have worked nearly as well if they,
Took it seriously.
No. If they used some of like the styled suits from like the older films, which were not designed for that. Like,
Oh,
this kind of
absolutely not.
movement and brawling.
Oh, absolutely not.
Which is why they were redesigned for that.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, like, they did look fake. So if they're going for realism there,
No.
yeah, the models were pretty good, I gotta
Yeah.
say.
There's
but-
really only one instance that I could tell where it was clearly model tanks.
Oh
And
yeah,
that
that
was-
opening scene, yeah,
and that was literally like the first scene the tanks come out. After that, everything looked really good.
yeah,
All
but
the
I mean,
planes.
just that first one because
all the
they were
except the
vehicles.
girl too, holding the Barbie doll.
Oh yeah.
That was
When
yeah.
King Kong steals the babe and climbs the Capitol building, because he's like 200 feet tall. He's very clearly holding like a Barbie doll because it's a guy in a suit, and
and I missed that
you
both times.
You,
That's like
missed
the
it
only,
both times.
The only 5 minutes I fell asleep for both times. God damn
Anyway,
it.
any final thoughts on the original?
I think I gave him my points actually.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, at one point or another, I gave him my points. Yeah, wacky plot. That's the only thing on my mind. Oh no! I do have one point, and I love this.
go for it.
It's not technically a favorite scene. I told Kay I don't write down my favorite scenes on my
Okay.
paper, but I do. I did love when King Kong ripped up a tree and shoved it down the throat of Godzilla and
Most
gagged him.
iconic scene in the whole movie. Yep.
Oh yeah, so Kong gagging Godzilla, major bonus for me. And I put a little sub note. I hope they put that in the new one. Hashtag KKVG gag 2020.
What the hell did you just say?
KKVG.
I don't want to know.
King
Anyway.
Kong versus
And-
Godzilla
Oh,
gag
What?
2020.
all right.
It's a hashtag. Please start it, guys.
Do not
Okay.
start it.
Please, dear God.
Start-
do
Also,
not
don't
start it.
don't donate to our Patreon, Cody.
Yeah, donate
Yeah,
to
don't.
our Patreon.
I hate you. Shut up.
Sponsored through Twitch's
App.
super chat.
No.
We want sponsors. It's okay. What was your
I
favorite
was like,
scene?
anyways,
What was your favorite scene of?
I did like
the
it
original?
overall. I mean, favorite scene was
Oh, like final thoughts too. I guess.
yeah. Final thoughts is I enjoyed it. It was funny from the actors and the whole. They wanted a TV series of them wrestling.
Yeah.
I like that overall. It's funny, and then the whole fight scene. Favorite scene has to still be the first one and the second one would be just King Kong scratching his head and walking away.
No, yeah, that was,
I just
that
really
was
like
great.
that scene. He thought about it, or maybe just didn't want to deal with Godzilla's fire in the first one. So, but the second one probably thought about it.
Yeah. This is a film that it just really shows just how unfortunate that we'll probably never get an official release of the original, because the original holds up in every sense.
Oh yeah, the Japanese version, obviously we're talking about.
Yeah, the original Japanese version is truly one of the best Showa era Godzilla films. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the U.S. cut, which we'll get to in just a second. So my favorite scene, as iconic as the classic
Tree gag.
tree gag is, that's actually not my favorite scene.
but just real quick, do you hope that they put it in the new one? Because if they do, I will laugh.
There's absolutely no way that they won't put it. Like that's too iconic to not
have to.
reference in some way, shape. Maybe not like as direct as that.
No, but I mean, maybe it'll
it's
be
gonna
like,
happen.
Maybe
like
it'll be more serious. Like, you know, he's actually getting like Kong's actually getting beat up.
I have
and
a
he rips up
prediction.
a tree and like chucks it into Godzilla's mouth.
Well,
or something,
I have
like,
I have a prediction of how they could pull it off seriously with a nice little like wink wink nod nod.
Mm.
Similar concept because in Kong Skull Island, I'm getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I'll keep it brief.
Yeah.
In Kong Skull Island, even though there's no way in hell he'll ever be a match for Godzilla, he was shown to be using weapons more.
Mhm.
So I do think at some point he's gonna grab like a big ass tree and just use it like in Pacific Rim, just use it like as a sword, and Godzilla's just gonna bite it out of his hand, and that'll be that.
That'll be funny. Yeah, it's like
Anyway.
yeah, I like that little wink, wink, nod, nod. Yeah.
My favorite scene is actually when they're hauling Kong on the boat. Not at the very end. My favorite scene specifically is when the Japanese government shows up initially.
Mm.
When you know the pharmaceutical company, you know, when they're hauling Kong back to Japan,
Mhm.
Japanese government boat also tails them, shows up, and this is my favorite scene just because it demonstrates just how self-aware the film is.
Mhm.
At no point do they say, "What are you doing? Why are you bringing a monster to Japan?" They show up to say, "You didn't declare you're bringing a monster to Japan, thus you're trying to smuggle it in." But even beyond that, because the gag doesn't end there, because they're trying to get him for smuggling a 200-foot tall monster into the country, and then the punishment is not, I don't know, death. The punishment is, we're gonna fine you for any destruction it causes, which is like in context for the pharmaceutical guy, because he's like generic like greedy corporate guy.
Yeah, he's
that's
Mr.
like
Krabs.
that is like the worst case scenario. Like they say that and he like has a heart attack. He's like, oh no.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's just so funny. And so, like the shots, again, like the way that's shot too.
Oh yeah, the way it's performed and everything. It's funny as hell.
perfect, and that it just perfectly just highlights just how fun the movie is, because it does not take itself seriously,
which is brilliant.
Yeah. So question, do you want to, because I as I mentioned, we're recording this a little late, which is why I'm rushing through this a little bit, because this has such a rich history in terms of production.
Mhm.
Do you want me to get into that now, or do you want to get into the American version and then I'll backtrack and explain the history from start to finish after our final thoughts all around?
The American version.
Yeah, I say
Okay.
move on to that, and then we'll go to the
Awesome.
history.
So yeah, unlike
oh.
taking itself.
I was gonna say real quick.
Oh.
The scores for the Japanese.
Oh, go for it.
7.
I was gonna do a 7 too.
Yes.
Yes.
Cody has no score.
So
there's just a little NA next to his name. Just Corsica, 7 out of 10. Sean, 7 out of 10.
I can't give it a score.
Cody.
I've never seen the movie.
And
What?
Oh man.
So yeah, while this film doesn't take itself seriously, the U.S. version sure does.
Very seriously.
So that's the U.S. version. No, I'm kidding.
It just reshot the whole thing,
so-
like shot for shot.
So,
but,
so for those who may be listening and who are unaware of the infamous changes to the American version of King Kong vs. Godzilla, nothing quite to the extent as the original Godzilla King of the Monsters, in the sense where they like reshot the entire narrative. They kept, I'd say, about
I think they
50% of the plot intact.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, maybe a little bit more, maybe like 60, but like they pretty much left it intact. It's just they cut stuff that was kind of unnecessary.
So
but
what they changed specifically, just like a brief plot recap.
Yeah, aside from dubbing, like
Yeah,
overdubbing
obviously,
everything.
yeah, they redubbed it. But in terms of plot differences, the most significant thing they changed was they included a news anchor, which is why I kept thinking the TV network was a news network.
Oh yeah.
They made it a UN news network,
Mhm.
that would basically not narrate the plot, would just kind of tell it to you.
Yeah, he'd like
They'd
cut stuff out, but then
they're
they'd
treating the original film as a news coverage thing.
yeah,
But they don't do it as often as something like Godzilla King of the Monsters did, in which the
yeah,
you know,
where
the
he kinda
narration
just narrates
was
everything.
it's not nowhere near as extreme as that, but it is still pretty extreme.
Yeah, where
They
it's
also
like
cut a lot of footage.
yeah, like the first 10 minutes of the opening of the film, they kind of just straight cut and just made it like
Yeah.
that news anchor opening,
Uh,
and then they go into so here's the pharmaceutical guy's cherries. He found it on an island.
yeah,
That supposedly had a monster.
they
And then it just kind of cuts to that actual scene,
yeah.
and then it cuts back, and he's like, meanwhile in the Pacific or Antarctic or whatever,
the city of
an
Townsville.
American sub is looking for something, and then it like cuts to that scene.
Yeah.
And I did like how they cut all the American footage together into one long scene, as opposed to cutting it up like they did before.
Yeah.
I liked that a little bit more, but
Well, the reason why I say I feel like it only left about 50% of the film intact is because they pretty much left the King Kong subplot almost wholly intact, just
Yeah.
redubbed.
yeah,
What they cut was Godzilla's subplot
good point.
almost entirely up until their brawl.
Yeah.
But I'll get into that because that's one of my biggest points. But that's the generalized plot recap.
Mhm.
What did you guys think of the U.S. version? I know we're,
Well, it was still just as wacky, so I liked that.
yeah, for the wrong reasons though.
Well, okay, no, but like the news anchor stuff aside, it was like the plot itself and the performances were untouched, so it's still pretty wacky. The plot as it is, I like that. I don't know if I can say this anymore because I've already said it once, and I
Well,
think
don't.
Yeah, it's
It's that simple, Sean.
it's that second bullet point there.
I can't read that.
The F was that opening scene.
Yeah, with the
it was the same opening scene as like the Japanese version, but like it didn't have the
Not.
same narration, and then it just hard cuts to a black screen, and then
not-
hard cuts into
not
the
only-
UN footage.
Not only was it
It felt really, it felt like that could have been easily cut from the film, just fade in at like opening credits, fade into
It's,
the UN news anchor, and then that's it. That opening planet shot was like stupid.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
well, I was gonna say the opening planet shot probably similarly to how my favorite scene in the the Japanese version highlights what that film's all about. I'd probably say just the planet, like the minute-long planet sequence at the
Mhm.
very beginning, highlights what this one's about. Because in the Japanese version, it was still a little weird, but it at least made sense because it was like a TV show.
Yeah, it was like part of the intro or a segment
it was
of
a
the TV
fake
show.
it was a fake TV segment, which then the camera then pulled back out, and we introduced we saw it
introduced
was-
the
yeah.
Bill Nye of that show. Yeah.
So in that but in the Japanese version, they said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, the planet's alive. If we're not aware of what's going on, then blah blah blah, something like that.
Yeah, it had some relevance to
Yeah.
like the plot or the themes or something.
Yeah, but
This
again,
one-
it was a fake show though. In this one, they cut it down to about 30 seconds,
Mhm.
and they say some nonsensical quote that I can only assume is from some like biblical reference or something.
Mhm. And
'Cause
then
it made no sense.
and then it just cuts to black.
and it
out
just
of
cuts to
nowhere.
black, and then it goes to the UN thing.
Yeah, it's not even like a
Um,
proper translation of what the Japanese one had. So it was weird.
No, it had
like
absolutely
that.
nothing to do. Like I
Yeah.
said, I guarantee it was a quote from some kind of historical context.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Yeah, and then they cut out a lot of the Japanese content, like you were saying, a lot of the Godzilla footage, and like the entirety of the TV show thing. Like
That
the first
whole
time,
subplot was gone.
time we hear about it, is during the old guy's story, and then the boss guy is like, "Hey,
Yeah.
have you seen our TV ratings? They suck.
They-
Go get me a monster." Like,
Yeah.
we don't see a show or
They-
anything. There's nothing about that. So
The
then
easiest way to describe it is they would have cut it if it wasn't integral to Kong's subplot. They left in just barely enough of the pharmaceutical company,
Mhm.
just enough to make
to make Kong
because
make
it's
sense.
because that's integral to his subplot.
Of course, yeah. Well, yeah. Why they're going to that? Yeah.
So
but I
so they
mean-
left in just the bare essentials, but beyond that, they're really like the pharmaceutical company isn't really in the it's not integral to the plot. They're just
Yeah.
kind of there.
They also cut the incest bit.
Incest
with the
bit?
brother and sister.
Yeah. When the
yeah,
brother
yeah,
comes home and like, his sister's shoes and her like gloves or purse or whatever is like in his house, and he's like, "Damn it!" And he walks like next door to presumably her boyfriend's house,
Yeah.
and he walks in and she's got food cooking And he's like, what the hell? And she's like, no, and walks away. And then the boyfriend comes out and he's like, hey man, what's up? And this dude like takes a handkerchief and wipes it across the boyfriend's mouth. And he's like, I know my sister's lipstick. Why you been making out with her? Or like, like I know her lipstick. And Cody chimes in. He's like, I know it all too well. I'm like, oh Jesus. But obviously Americans caught that too because they cut it.
Yep.
It just, when that scene starts after a news anchor bit from the UN guy, it just kind of cuts right down to when they're sitting down for dinner.
Yep.
No context, but it's funny. But
yeah, the US version, it's largely the same. They just trim way too much. They borderline cut Godzilla out of the film, with the exception of the last third of the film where they need to fight.
Again, pretty much akin to Batman v Superman. It was basically a Batman movie. Superman happened to be in there just so they could fight.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this one was. It starts with King Kong in the title, so it's totally a King Kong movie, and Godzilla happens to be there.
Yeah.
Same thing. It was kind of. It felt like a horrible.
Yeah. The US. I agree on the US.
The US version.
Yeah.
No. The Japanese version was perfect. The US version was kind of dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was and this tying back to why I disagree on or not why I disagree. You said this one was comedic, and I said for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
That's because unlike the original, which was intentionally satire, this one just unfortunately
the American stuff tried to take it seriously.
Well, no, not just that, because the whole film took itself. They completely missed the satire. This one just unfortunately introduced the franchise running trend of god awful dubs.
Oh yeah.
The
dubbing.
Godzilla franchise single-handedly caused the stereotype of Japanese English dubbing, where
the mouths don't match.
The
and
mouths
the
keep
dialogue
talking
is
like
stupid.
50 seconds after they stop.
That's he's moving his mouth after he
That's
stopped.
100% due to the Godzilla films, and this is the one that kickstarted it.
I left that as a plus. Actually, the dubbing was on fleek.
The performances themselves.
The dubbing was on fleek.
Oh Jesus
Like
Christ!
your eyebrows.
Of course I'm being sarcastic, but yes, the dubbing was super on fleek.
It was funny though.
It was very Gucci.
The performances weren't bad.
No,
necessarily. They were.
I thought it enhanced it a little bit.
They were ironically funny because they clearly
tried to dub it as good as they could, match the lips.
It wasn't satire like the Japanese version was, which means that this one's funny, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the performances were good for what they were.
But it's kind
the
of
dubbing itself was bad.
It's kind of like when they did Gigantus the Fire Monster. Like the dubbing on that was actually really good.
Oh yeah,
because
that was really good
because they matched the mouth.
Yeah,
movement
they were
and everything.
very clever.
So it looks like they're
Yeah.
Now they were clever. Doesn't mean they were smart because the actual dialogue. Still my favorite line in any movie ever. You're so kind to me, you must think it's a cat. The fuck was that? Like that was them trying to match his cat or his cat. Jesus. His mouth movements, and they decided whatever he said in Japanese matched cat. So they wrote that line, and I'm like,
same with the dialogue in this one. It was like
it was
funny,
like
certain things.
Oh yeah, no, they'd try to make it like match. But that was part of the problem. But that's why it's so funny. That's why it's, obviously
this one is a match.
The Fire Monster
nearly
did
as
it
well.
much better. But yeah. But this one, it's they still did a decent job with dubbing. That's why I said it was on fleek.
Yeah. So with all that said,
also wait, do you know why they named when they did the new American title cards in the opening for the credits, they said the Japanese director was Inoshiro Honda.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention. Yeah, the director of this one was Inoshiro Honda,
as opposed
not to be confused with Ishiro Honda, who is a genius. Inoshiro Honda is an enigma.
I hate you.
I don't know. It's widely debated among the fan base if it was either a typo or his evil twin. No one quite knows. I'm gonna guess evil twin. What did you think of the American version? You haven't spoken much about it.
Because I'm sick.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Like I said, poor K is
Poor K.
Poor K.
Yeah.
We respectfully request that she and her family have time to grieve.
Anyways, I
at
thought
this
of
important time.
it as my thoughts on it were it was just funny, but it wasn't as good as the original. I did not enjoy the whole telling of the story.
Yeah.
I didn't need that narration. I just wanted them to show me instead of telling me.
Yeah.
We didn't want another Steve Martin.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't-
Well, this one was even
Well,
worse.
Like you said, it was like
It was
what
an
do you say?
audiobook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the Steve Martin one, at least he was like there.
He was filling in stuff. Yeah.
So you could still see what he was describing. This one was just a guy sitting in front, like a news station.
Yeah, he was
a news anchor.
he was a narrator.
Without showing you the
Yeah,
footage
he had
he was
nothing to do with it.
narrating.
He was like a third party.
describing it in great detail.
And, like I'm
Like
not
an
reading
audiobook.
a book.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't need to tell me.
but you
Which
know,
sucks because often the stuff.
almost like Gigantus, because like
Yeah.
that one main character narrated everything.
But also different though, because that was like a third person perspective. Like
no, first person perspective.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he was narrating in his head.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
kind of matched, but
You still got to see what he's narrating. You just didn't need it.
But he like
In
he'd
this
be, like,
scenario, you don't know what, like you can't see it. So he's describing what you would be seeing,
True.
except there's the footage, so we could just be watching it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
And which is unfortunate because often the stuff he's describing is the Godzilla sequences. Why they cut those, beyond me.
I wonder if like American audience, if they didn't think American audiences were going to relate that much to just a dubbed Japanese movie, because like
they proved that wrong though with both Godzilla and Gigantus.
Gigantus more so than Godzilla,
I mean,
King of the Monsters. But
yeah.
but my point is like, if I wonder if they thought, like the studios thought, okay, well the Americans are going to want, like the American audience is going to want to see a familiar face explaining to them stuff they might be confused about. Like if they just kind of question the intelligence of the audience, I wonder.
I don't think it's that.
I think studios do that a lot.
Today,
even back then, because they'll,
not
there are,
nearly as much as today though.
But there are movies like that where, like Gigantus, the narrator or whoever is like describing exactly what we're going to see, and they totally don't get the, they don't get the show don't tell thing, and they do the exact opposite because they like really want to hold the audience's hand because they think if we don't understand it, we're not going to give it good ratings and we're not going to give them money.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm saying this is different though because it's not a matter of show don't tell. They flat out don't even show. It's
no. That's what I'm saying. Is they're telling us instead because I think
it's not like what they were describing was very complicated.
No, I know, but that's the point. Is I wonder if they just totally questioned us and took us for idiots. And we're like, let's put in American footage because that'll make sense.
Here's
to them,
what I think, because this is what I mentioned earlier from my perspective of this cut of the film.
Mm-hmm.
This ties in perfectly with what I took from this version of the film. Now, that's just a theory. There's absolutely nothing to base off of this one.
Mm-hmm.
But this makes total sense for everything. My theory is that in a sense, they kind of converted this into our movie.
As in American?
Yes. No. Hear me out.
The legit day jobs movie.
No. Like they essentially try to make this like a U.S. film in the sense that this is a film between two of the most iconic monsters ever put on film, and it's still debated to this day of which one is more recognizable, King Kong or Godzilla.
True.
And now you have a foreign film pitting two of these together, one of them being a foreign interpretation of our monster.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is that they tried to reconvert that back into our monster in the sense that they left King Kong's subplot untouched, but they cut all of Godzilla's, which not only like gimps Godzilla's subplot, but also it kind of shifts the whole plot, the whole narrative. I realize that.
It shifts the balance to King Kong's story against Godzilla.
It makes it a King Kong underdog tale where the entire time all the characters are like rooting for King Kong. Like they even say like, yeah, get him King Kong when he's fighting.
Well, that's because the pharmaceutical guy sponsored King Kong.
But no, like not just him though. Like they do the whole film. Yeah. Everyone's like rooting for Kong, and because again, this is just my theory, but I get the feeling because they cut all of the Godzilla subplots, I get the feeling they did that so that at the very end when Godzilla starts kicking Kong's ass, it's so that you are also supposed to start rooting for Kong. Like no, you can't, because they also they said they said at one point that Godzilla after their first showdown where Godzilla just took the high ground and lit Kong on fire and he just walked away. I remember that the news, like the UN news report, like the new footage they filmed, made went out of their way to say Godzilla now reigns supreme over Japan as it's like in its entirety. So that way, when Kong went, and that's
that way, the second fight was like a
it was like it was like
reclaiming the throne.
Yeah, reclaiming the throne.
Well, okay. I have a similar but opposing theory.
But one last thing.
Yeah. Continue.
Because not only that, I also feel like, again, total theory. I feel like it also goes a little deeper than just that.
How so?
I also like. Not only do I think that that's why they cut the Godzilla stuff.
Yeah.
I also think that they're also trying to intentionally project the U.S. into King Kong and Japan into Godzilla. Because a lot of the dialogue was real sketch at times.
Yeah.
Real sketch. They were like, Godzilla's evil because he was made from atomic warfare. King Kong is just an animal. So
you can't blame them, right?
Yeah. So that's just my theory. That's my perspective on the U.S. cut.
Okay.
Which is they stripped the satire in favor of social commentary in like a sucker punch kind of way.
Yeah. I think that whole like Kong being an underdog thing and them rooting for Kong, that was kind of in the original too, the Japanese one. But for a different reason. Because last time we saw Godzilla, he done fucked them up.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, we're not gonna have Godzilla,
They wanted to try and make it an equal fight.
Well, no. I mean, they were rooting for Kong because they were like, well, so far Kong hasn't done us wrong.
Yeah.
Godzilla, on the other hand, he got to go. So they're like, we're gonna root for King Kong because the lesser of two evils, right?
Yeah, but they definitely were rooting for Kong in the Japanese one, but they played it up infinitely more in the U.S.
Oh, no, absolutely. But that was probably because of your theory, and I think they did that because they played off of what was already there in the groundwork of the Japanese one. They just gave it a different spin.
Yeah,
because
that's
again,
what I mean.
The Japanese one was like, okay, well, it's pro-Japan because Godzilla's the bad guy against Japan. Kong has nothing to do with it. We want help getting Godzilla out. Whereas for the Americans, it's like, okay, well, we don't have a tie to either of these because Godzilla hasn't come and messed us up. But King Kong is one of our intellectual properties. So we're going to, those Japanese. So yeah. I hope you can hear that sound effect. I was punching my hand.
I'm positive I can.
I was punching my hand like Burt Ward's
anyway,
Robin.
So yeah, that was just my little perspective on that.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's
any other final thoughts on the U.S. version?
No, I think
I'll start off with my favorite scene. You good?
How are you feeling?
I'm good.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, you sound sick.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'm not. Yeah, the film messed me up so bad. It's like
it's okay. I can fix it in post.
I'm sorry, Kay.
Hear my sniffling.
Make her sound like Scarlett Johansson. I'm sorry, Kay. Hope you feel better.
Well, it's favorite scenes from the U.S. front. I'll start. I'm gonna pull 180. I'm gonna give you my least favorite scene. I don't have a favorite scene in this one. I have a least favorite scene. You want to know what my least favorite scene is?
Yes, do tell.
My least favorite scene was my favorite scene in the original. Because they took the scene from the original of the government coming on the boat and they completely changed the context.
Remind me what that context was again. What did
in
they change it to?
In the U.S. version, the same setup, right? They're hauling Kong to Japan. The government shows up.
Yeah.
But instead they strip it of all comedy and they completely change the dialogue. Because now the government goes, instead of, well, we're going to charge you for that. they straight up go there to say you cannot bring a monster into Japan, turn around or we will arrest you.
Oh yeah.
And then that was the end of the scene because then they ran out and they're like no, and then they freed Kong and then he swam away. That was it. Turn my favorite scene into doo doo.
Yeah, that's.
So what was your favorite scene?
Well, mine was similar.
Also,
mine was
corn problems. # corn problems.
Oh yeah, that was. I don't even want to go into that. I don't even know what the hell was going on with that. Yeah. But
anyway,
my favorite scene was also my favorite scene in the last one.
Same thing. Just the
Kong,
tree.
Yeah, Kong gagging Godzilla. Although
in beautiful
it's also because the last one they were both equal, so it was kind of funny. But this one, like you so eloquently pointed out, it's basically Kong's movie.
Yeah.
And while it is technically an underdog tale and him being the bad guy at the end, Godzilla should be a rooting moment. No pun intended. I thought I thought it was kind of it made Kong look a little bit like a bully, because all he wanted to do was kick Godzilla out of Godzilla's home. Godzilla came from Japan, and he wanted to kick him out because he wanted to take over, but he's not even from this place. And then at the end, he beats Godzilla and then just walks off, walks his happy ass home to his own island again. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, in the US version, they definitively, like, no second thoughts about it. They make Kong the winner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was always implied.
The Japanese one, they kind of were like, "Where's Godzilla?" But like, there was no definite, and it ended with his roar.
Yeah,
I think the US one did too. But
Toho confirmed, like, in an interview, that Kong won, but in the film,
it's a little ambiguous.
Yeah, they're like, Godzilla's probably out there somewhere, and then you hear his roar.
Yeah, but then the US
version,
the US one was basically Batman v Superman. Spoiler alerts. Superman got impaled and he died.
Yeah,
right.
In the US version, Kong walks away.
Yeah, Kong walks away like Batman, and Godzilla just Supermaned his ass into the ocean. He died. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was kind of it gave it a little bit of a different spin. It was still funny as hell.
Oh yeah,
but it was like
it's always fun watching.
But now the subtext is like, now he's just being rude.
Yeah.
Like, he went for a nut shot. Like just.
What was your favorite scene? Okay.
Favorite scene was the same as the last one.
Same one.
Same reasons.
Probably because this one, it implied that he was smart. Right?
That's right.
But then he scratches his head and walks away.
He was thinking about it. He was using his brain size and brain enhancement because, he's smarter.
Yeah.
He was
unlike
sometimes if you go on to win a fight, you got to lose a couple. It's
take some punches and walk away.
Yeah. I'm taking my ball and going home, guys.
I have corn problems.
Unlike the Japanese version, which this is the third entry in the continuity of the Godzilla films.
Mm-hmm.
US version treats this one, I believe, as like
a
standalone because they re-explain the origins of both Kong and Godzilla.
They even showed a book.
Yeah, in a picture book of dinosaurs, and they even go as far as to show the brain size of Godzilla, which is like a marble. And they're trying to play that off as life size. Like, Godzilla's brain is the size of a marble, and then they pull out this ridiculously sized, like, ape skull. Like, this thing is so big it takes two hands to hold. And they're like, and King Kong's skull is like 5 times bigger than this. That's compared to Godzilla's pea-sized brain. that one also factored into my theory of like, oh, okay,
they're really
trying to flex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They were like, yep, King Kong made that atom bomb that just dominated Godzilla and won us the war.
Yeah.
That was a real. Yeah, 20 years later, you think they'd get past that?
Yeah, you think so?
America's a dick sometimes.
So yeah, those were King Kong versus Godzilla and King Kong versus Godzilla. Let's get into
score
history.
The history.
Wait, yeah, score
of the beast.
Okay.
1.
It's 7. I was gonna say, because I mean, despite all the negative stuff, I still liked it pretty much as much as the second one, just for different reasons. So I gave it a 7. one less than my last one, but
yeah.
So you gave it a 1.
1.
I gave it a 7.
I hated that narration thing.
Cody.
How many roots were on the tree that he shoved in Godzilla's throat?
Probably like 1.
15.
All right, my score is between 1 and 15.
It's out of
one tree.
All right, well, it's Rotten Tomatoes. Kay's got like a really nasty green tomato that's falling apart. Mine's like a pretty much orange tomato. Cody's is a tree with 1 root.
Strap yourselves in now, because now I'm going to backtrack and kind of give you guys a breakdown of how this wombo combo of a film came to be, because it is one crazy ass ride.
Yes, it is.
So we're gonna backtrack now to roughly 1960.
Ooh,
does the name Willis O'Brien mean anything?
Willis O'Brien.
Yes.
No.
I know of Brian O'Brien, but not the same guy.
Definitely not the same guy.
Damn it, that was a Disney reference.
Willis O'Brien is the man who performed the stop motion animation on the original King Kong film.
Oh.
You could say he pioneered stop motion animation.
You could say that.
In early 60s, roughly around 1960, he created a treatment for King Kong meets Frankenstein.
Interesting, because Frankenstein is a normal-sized, relatively, human being.
Yeah.
King Kong
is
was
not.
always a giant.
Yeah.
He meets him. He flicks him across the island. Frankenstein goes splat, and King Kong wins. Roll credits.
Except Frankenstein comes back.
It's a short film.
It's a short film.
It's an animated short film.
It's
Like 2 minutes.
one of those
Yeah.
films that, like, it starts
Anyway.
before the movie does.
So he creates this treatment for this film, King Kong Meets Frankenstein. And he starts going around to try and see if he can get it made.
Mhm.
First, he goes to the studio RKO to try and secure the rights for King Kong. He gets the rights for them, but I guess at the time they were no longer a production company, so he just gets the rights for Kong.
So he'd have to take it to a different studio to.
Yeah,
get it
so he
made.
still needs to get it produced, but he has the rights to use King Kong. There was some confusion at the time over who owned the rights to Frankenstein.
Because Mary Shelley was long dead at that point, and now it's a film franchise.
Well,
so they had,
the confusion.
So Universal had.
The confusion was with Universal whether they had the rights to the character or the likeness. In other words, like if they only owned like the likeness, he could still use Frankenstein as long as it didn't look like their Frankenstein.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I mean.
So there was confusion with that one, but
Yeah.
he did meet producer John Beck. That should ring a bell since that was splattered all over the title cards of the U.S. version.
Okay,
of
that's the only place I know the name from, though. Who is John Beck?
a producer. I don't know what else he's produced.
Oh, okay.
This is just part of the history. It was around the time when he was trying to look for help that he met John Beck, who offered to help him to turn his treatment into a script and offered to try and get it, help him get it made. He did get some help, converted it into a script called King Kong versus Prometheus, which is how they got around the copyright issue for Frankenstein.
Is that an Alien tie-in?
No. It's.
I was kidding. Alien didn't come out till like 50 years later.
Oh, I thought you meant just like aliens in general.
No, I meant the Alien franchise.
No.
Prometheus was
It was still the same premise. It was still Frankenstein, but Prometheus, I guess, was more directly related to the original source rather than Universal's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, they got the script ready and they started trying to pitch it to studios. It being Willis O'Brien, they wanted to make it like King Kong, like a stop motion film.
Mhm.
However, the cost of that was too great for any studio to sign on for it.
Mhm.
So they just got rejected basically by everyone. Enter Toho, who around
the godsend.
basically, who conveniently had always wanted to make a King Kong movie of their own. And around this time, conveniently, were about ready to bring back Godzilla from his hiatus.
So they replaced Prometheus with Godzilla.
Yes, but we're jumping ahead a couple points.
Uh-oh.
So John Beck sold the script to Toho,
Mhm.
who then did exactly what you just mentioned. They just took the script. Obviously, they changed it, but they effectively realized, hey, we have an opportunity now. We want to bring back Godzilla. We now have a script with King Kong. Let's just swap out Frankenstein, and now we got a cool mashup.
Uh-huh.
Here's the problem. Beck sold this script without O'Brien's knowledge. Thus, he was never credited for any part of this project.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's an oof.
That's a big oof. He sold the script. I have it here somewhere.
Oof.
Big oof.
Big mistake.
Mondo oof.
It's in the U.S. notes. Obviously, this history kind of jumps back and forth between the U.S. and the Japanese version.
Yeah, it's very much a multi.
So-
I mean, because they got American actors too in the Japanese version.
Oh, I forgot to mention that in the U.S. cut, they redubbed the U.S. Anyway, so
Well, hold on. I gotta say, in the Japanese one, the U.S. dialogue was like really subpar compared to everybody else's.
Sure,
not
but
the writing, but like
nothing a little
the
touch-up
actual
can't fix.
quality. So I mean,
Anyway,
it was
going ahead. So
irreversible.
he sold the script to Toho, just totally backstabbed Willis O'Brien, never gave him any credit, never even gave him a cut. He just sold the script and just ran off with the money, basically. But
Willis O'Brien later killed him.
someone did try and sue Beck.
Willis O'Brien?
No, someone I
somebody else.
forget who. Someone Someone tried to sue Beck over the use of King Kong because they thought that they owned the rights to King Kong, but that was
so
dismissed
okay.
because they didn't own the sole rights to it. But no,
Gotcha.
as far as I know, O'Brien didn't do anything public against them, unfortunately. That would have been just as epic as the film.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, so Toho has the script. They're making King Kong versus Godzilla. Ishiro Honda wanted to use this opportunity to make it satire, a satire film on the current state of Japanese news networks.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why that whole subplot was in there.
Yeah, who at the time, like I apparently, like all of the major Japanese news networks around that time were just furiously competing with each other with these over-the-top ridiculous publicity stunts for views.
Yeah.
Which I guess all started when supposedly 2 elderly women died while watching a violent wrestling match.
Oh my
What?
god.
Which generated a lot of clicks. So that just fueled this like publicity war for just clicks.
We want to kill more people that people talk about us more.
It like got so
YouTube.
Yeah,
it got so bad that shit, I don't remember the exact quote. I didn't write the quote down. It got really bad, like in terms of like what it was doing like to like television and like audiences, because it was like very much like, you know, manipulation
Yeah.
as we know it today, but on a much faster, bigger scale back then.
Yeah, it was a frenzy.
Yeah, it was exactly that. So he wanted to turn this. He wanted to take this opportunity to make it into the perfect satire of that by introducing a
monster as a gag.
Well, introducing a pharmaceutical company who wants to do this glorious publicity stunt, which involved forcing 2 monsters to fight each other, so people would buy for clicks.
Their sleep drug. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're pre-propofol.
Which, in my opinion, that's genius.
Oh, absolutely.
That is the perfect way to sell.
We've already established that
On top of
Ishiro Honda, aka Inoshiro Honda, is
allegedly also known as Inoshiro Honda. We don't have confirmation of that.
You know what? What if he looked at the American version and was like, "My name is Inoshiro Honda," just so that he wouldn't be confused with himself?
What?
Like, because they're giving him credit for the Japanese direction, right? And what if he looked at the American one and he was like,
He just accepted it?
No, he was just so appalled that when they asked for his name, he was like, Ino Shiro Honda. Like if you know, like if we did something horrible and I took a look at it and I was like, I don't want credit on this. So I gave you guys my name as Sean, SHAWN, instead of SEAN. Then I had plausible deniability. No, that's not me. You know? That way, when I put my real name on stuff, it's not, you know, associated with this shit show. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Anyway.
You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
But what if he did that? Like, he looked at it, he was like, oh, hell no. Inoshiro. As in, like, no, I want nothing to do with this.
I really doubt it.
Probably not. No, I think it was just Americans being
I think
ignorant.
it was just a typo. Anyway, so he decided to use the project as a way for his satire. He reached out to his special effects guru, E.G. Tsuburaya, to also help out, who was unfortunately in the middle of several different projects, which he just flat out dropped in the middle of them just to work on this project because he was a huge fan of King Kong. So this was very much like the dream team just coming together for this like masterpiece. During production, you mentioned that the monsters, like the actors, were doing a lot of weird shit, like Godzilla like flapping his arms around.
Yeah.
That's because
Yeah.
apparently the suit actors were explicitly allowed to just choreograph their own fights. They were given no direction. They just said, do whatever you guys want, which resulted in they rehearsed those fights like for hours, which is why they looked like wrestling matches because they
Because it
were
was
just,
rehearsed.
yeah, because it was just a wrestling match.
'cause-
It was
yeah, I
it
was
was literally 2 guys.
Like wrestling, it's all fake.
Yeah.
WWE 1962.
So that's the production of Toho's version. We're still not quite done yet. Before the Japanese premiere, like the red carpet premiere, Toho released interviews with King Kong and Godzilla, just like a boxing match.
In character?
Yes.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah. Like how epic is that? This was such a phenomenally box office breaking film. It had a budget of roughly, translated to USD, roughly 1.3 million. However, of that 1.3 million, roughly,
Mhm.
I mean, this is just a drop in the bucket, but this is still crazy. They had to pay $220,000 just for the rights of King Kong alone. But yeah, the total budget was approximately 1.3 million.
Mhm.
Its initial theatrical run
In Japan.
in Japan. Yeah, this is all of this is just Japan, not worldwide.
Okay.
Its initial theatrical release generated approximately $3.1 million. It was then so successful they released this thing 4 times in theaters.
They George Lucas this shit.
And so lifetime it grossed in theaters about $3.8 million. 3.8 million.
Star Wars 1977 did so well. Star Wars first anniversary 1978. Star Wars second anniversary. Watch it again before Empire. Watch it again for 20th anniversary.
It is
22nd anniversary. Like
it is to this day the highest attended Godzilla film ever made.
Really?
Yeah, to this day, it sold.
Is that adjusted for inflation or anything? Or
No, not profit.
no,
Attendance,
I know, but
ticket,
I mean,
like tickets, like
I mean, quote unquote adjusted for inflation. Like
I don't know how you could adjust that for inflation.
well, because think about it, like compared to like the population, that might have been a big number, like a big percentage of the population that saw it back then. But like we've literally doubled, almost tripled the population of the planet since then. So like,
I mean, that doesn't change the fact that they pumped out Godzilla movies like once a year.
no. But I'm saying like, okay, so like if say like 1 million people went to go see a movie back then, and that was like the
1 million
biggest
people. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say like 1 million people. That's like the biggest
Right.
release they've ever had. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
today we have like 5 million people go see a movie on opening weekend.
Right.
Now that's still
now-
like it like we can say like it's the same percentage of the population, but like
No. That's not what it means. It means like physical butts in seats.
it's still more than this.
A million. If 1 million people went to see it 30
Right,
years
right.
ago, and
And a million-
5 million people went to see it today,
Then
that's still
5
5
million is-
million people over 1 million.
No, but that's but I'm
This
saying
one in Japanese theaters drew approximately 12.5 million people to see it.
so no other Godzilla movie.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean any
Wait,
film.
hold on. Are you talking about Japan?
Yes, this one film is to this day the highest attended Godzilla film ever made.
In Japan.
I believe it's just anywhere. I could be wrong about
Because
that.
I'm pretty sure more than 12 million people went to go see the one in 2014.
I don't have numbers to back that up. Obviously, it made
I
more than
feel like
12.
they totally
Again,
would've.
these aren't. This isn't profits.
No, I know, but I'm saying there's more people in the world, more time for people to get acquainted with the characters and stuff. So I feel like somehow that's like
When we get to
I don't know.
Godzilla, I can fact check that.
Yeah, we'll fact check that. But I feel like somehow that's a little
Either
off.
way,
If it's not, that's really impressive.
I mean, it's still impressive, regardless.
Yeah.
It is, as I mentioned earlier, it's praised as one of the best Showa era Godzilla films.
Mhm.
It is unfortunately also infamous for being one of the worst, just most poorly preserved films, extending even beyond Godzilla films from Toho's lineup. That this is partially the reason why there is not and probably will never be an official U.S. release of the Japanese version, because it is like it's non-existent at this point. In 1970, Ishiro Honda he created a new edit of the film for a children's festival.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't know what was going through his head, but when I say create a new edit, I mean he literally cut over 20 minutes of the raw film to edit it, thus destroying the source. So it literally doesn't exist anymore.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how'd you wait? So is that the version we watched?
I mean, there are still like, bless you. I mean, you can no longer restore it from its original source.
No. I know, but I'm saying
We watched the original Japanese cut.
before he cut stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Like obviously the film came out. It came out on VHS. The DVDs are what I can only assume are transfers of the VHS.
Yeah.
However, it's almost impossible to get a new transfer from the original film. They still have the film that he didn't destroy,
Mhm.
but he cut over 20 minutes of it. That's
so
gone.
they'd have to re.
They've done some surgery.
Oh, so wait, so the 20 minutes he cut, he just got rid of, and it's gone forever.
Effectively,
And the version he cut up and put at children's festivals,
that's what they have.
and that's what they're restoring to this day on like Blu-rays and stuff.
They're doing some original trilogy Star Wars surgery where they're taking what they have,
Mhm.
they're restoring that because Toho, as of like a year or two ago, they actually re-released every single one of their films in 4K, like
Wow.
legit 4K restorations.
That's impressive.
That's another reason why I hate our distribution, because we're never going to see those. I would love to get my hands on 4K, guys.
I guess we have to take a trip to Japan. Maybe our
and
bosses
anyway,
can,
anyway,
maybe
so,
our bosses can pay for that.
to make that
Our
possible,
sponsors.
Toho, please sponsor us.
Please.
They took what film they had for King Kong vs. Godzilla specifically,
Mhm.
and whatever footage they didn't like, they took footage, they restored it in 4K. Whatever they didn't have, they just sourced from their Blu-ray releases. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, they sourced it from our Blu-ray releases.
Oh, jeez.
So it's a Frankenstein of a project. It's never going to be complete like it used to be,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
it doesn't mean that they don't have it.
So the version we have is the complete.
We have the complete US version.
No, I mean the
DVD I have.
the Japanese version.
Yeah.
Before Ishiro Honda cut stuff.
Yes.
That's the original cut of the film.
Yes.
It's not like 4K quality because they're taking it from a VHS.
Basically. I mean, the version we watched was on a DVD.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, even still, like that's the point. Like even if they did a Blu-ray restoration
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
VHS, it's still from a VHS, so it's like not the actual film reels that they can pull all the raw footage from.
No. Sorry, might have described that poorly. They have a botched version of the film on film stock, like in their vault.
Oh, okay.
They have, like I said, he cut about 20, 25 minutes from it. They have the remaining 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just botched because it's missing God knows what scenes.
Yeah.
However, they still have those missing scenes in other sources, just not the original film.
Yeah.
So when they
exactly.
do restorations, whether it be Blu-ray or 4K, if they source the original film, they're just replacing the missing footage from anything they can get their hands on.
No, that's what I mean though. Is
Yeah.
like they'll take it from
take it from
VHSs or
something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but okay.
So
So it won't be a true uniform.
no, not at all.
Yeah. Okay.
But close enough.
But I mean, we still got our hands on a. Did you say it was bootlegged?
No. So anyway,
Yeah.
poorly
that
preserved
part.
film, unfortunately. Also, another fun fact, just real quick. They immediately, shocker, began working on a sequel after it destroyed box offices. The sequel was ultimately scrapped. They
Thank
revisited it. And instead they went back.
2015, and now they're making it again.
They went back
Oh my
to
gosh.
O'Brien's original treatment for the revision,
Mhm.
and they planned on making Frankenstein versus Godzilla.
Planned on it. I thought they made it.
No. They planned on making Frankenstein versus Godzilla, which then they scrapped that, but it then became two different films. The Godzilla part of that film became Godzilla versus Mothra. The Frankenstein version became Frankenstein Conquers the World, which we will be taking a look at next week.
Okay.
That covers the.
Oh yeah, Frankenstein
Yeah.
conquers the world. But okay, hold on. I'm just looking at it right now. A little flash forward. It looks like Godzilla or something resembling Godzilla is in that film. So I thought that's what it was. Yeah,
Negative.
it is called Frankenstein Conquers the World though. So
Correct.
yeah. Okay. Well, I won't look at this anymore. But we'll take a look at that, and that's
Correct.
something to look forward to.
So cutting back real quick, because that's the bulk of the history on the Toho side. There's only a little bit more history on the U.S. side.
Okay.
Because good old Beck doesn't end there.
Oh, gee.
See when
Who else
good
did he
old when
screw?
good old John Beck sold Toho the script. I don't know if he asked for it or if they were just so pleased, but either way, he sold them the script, and in exchange, they also gave him the sole exclusive rights to make localized versions, which is also why no one will give us anything but our version because there's no reason to. And no one can import the other ones because he has the sole exclusive rights, which I'm sure is passed on to probably Universal by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's unfortunate. So he took that. He took $15,000 to edit what we saw. He got Warner Brothers and Universal invested as distributors. He hired a couple writers from Hollywood to write up the new script. Like I said, raised $15,000 to film the new content.
Obviously, he doesn't pay these people that much. Then they didn't try that hard either.
I don't know if you guys noticed. They actually even replaced the entire soundtrack with another stock audio library.
I think I did notice, actually.
And then, so once they finished their little film, he then sold it to Universal for $200,000. So he made a pretty penny again.
Yeah, he did. What a asshole.
And then it went on to gross $2.7 million in the US. Good times. Good times. That is the unfortunate legacy.
At least it didn't make as much as the Japanese version.
King Kong vs. Godzilla and its bastard child, King Kong vs. Godzilla. What a crazy ride.
Well.
Crazy ride. It only gets better from here.
I hope so.
I'm sure it does.
It was a good way to end this week.
Yeah, good way to end the week.
Is this going to be going up today?
I hope.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to wrap it up right now because it's about...
Yep. Thank you for listening to the Legit Day Job podcast. This is our legit day job.
It's what we do every day for a living.
I am your host.
His name is Cody. My name is Sean.
And my name is Kay.
I am your host.
Your hostess.
Yeah, he's the hostess.
I am the host. And next week, we're going to be kicking it off with a little rewind in the chronological order.
Mothra?
As next week, we're going to be watching Mothra.
Mothra.
And then Godzilla.
Hell yeah.
Versus Mothra.
What?